this was interesting. And, it started fairly innocuously, you would imagine. Mike James, former Net basketball player, was on Twitter, and this was yesterday. And I guess there was a conversation about the most skilled NBA players of all time. Mm-hmm. All right? Of all time. Not just right now, but of all time. And Mike James, basically a fan, then parachuted in and said that James should have been arguing for Curry instead of the argument that James was making for Kyrie Irving. All right? So then the fan wrote, so you're going to argue for Kyrie, but not for Steph. Oh, that's right. You never played with Steph. You're the definition of biased. Here we go. And then Mike James wrote back, Kyrie more skilled than Steph. Steph just a shooter, just a better shooter. Everything else is in Kyrie's favor skill-wise, but whatever you say. And, there is nothing hot take-ish about this at all.
No.
This is incredibly easy to decipher. If it's a scoreboard, it's incredibly easy to say that Mike James, is on the winning side here. Even though it's subjective, but if you just remove yourself from the subjectivity of it and you say, well, on a night where Steph Curry's not shooting the ball well, who's the more impactful player?
Yeah.
Who's bringing more to the table?
That's right.
For me, it's Kyrie Irving.
It is Kyrie Irving.
Hands down.
And neither one of them is an elite defender. I think with Steph, it's not because of lack of effort, because one of the things that Steve Kerr brought when he came to Golden State was, look, you got to defend too, Steph, and that helps them in some ways when he is good and they get in transition and they get some wide open shots. But Kyrie just from a ball skills standpoint, there is not many better than him from a physics and a calculus. I'll use calculus because of the angles and things that you see him
getting geeky.
Yeah, but you see it, right? I mean, I don't know many players that can score a basket by using the bottom of the backboard. And we've seen him do
about the English that he creates off the window. Yeah, well, we said that years ago.
It's like, dude, how did that go in?
Yep.
Right? It's like, wait, did he just flip that up or no? He kisses it off the bottom of the backboard and it scoots all the way over and drops in the bucket.
He makes some crazy shots.
It's unbelievable. Or he goes really high off the backboard. Mm-hmm. I mean, he understands angles better than I think any at the rim scorer that I've ever seen. His handle is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. He is a great athlete from a speed standpoint and a dexterity and an elusiveness standpoint. And I think Mike James is right. He is a better skilled player than Steph Curry. Now it's not even close to saying Steph as a shooter. He can't compare to Steph as a shooter, mm-hmm. right? Steph Curry is
probably closer than you think, though.
It probably is
closer than you think.
But Steph has these moments where he's just unconscious.
Yeah.
Right, and he's not even trying, he's not even working hard. It's just like effortlessly he can go score, and especially given this past season, we saw it. It was 32 points a game he averaged last year, and one of the questions that we had going into the season was, can he carry this team by himself? Now there just simply wasn't enough around him to do that, but they did make the postseason, mm-hmm. which is a shock considering all that they lost and didn't have, including Klay Thompson. So. I love Steph Curry. He's one of my favorite players, and I think he's one of the top 10 players in the NBA right now. But from a skill position standpoint, this is easy. Kyrie Irving,
simple. And forget about Steph Curry. I mean, we could just branch this out to every player who's ever touched a basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyrie Irving's got the best handle I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Honestly. You see the old footage of Bob Cousy dribbling with his head down, and back then, Bob Cousy was slicing people up.
That's right.
I get it. Maybe there's a couple of cats in the schoolyard who never quite made it to the NBA. You hear the legend of certain guys, Rucker Park, etc. Places in Chicago, places down in Philly, places out west. But Kyrie Irving's handle, the elusive nature of the handle, the speed, the dexterity which you use, the yo-yo, the unpredictability, best handle I've ever seen. Then you incorporate. And you're absolutely right. Just his usage, how adept he is at using the backboard.
The English.
The English is incredible.
And just the ability to get some of these shots off.
Yeah, at somebody who's not 6'4", 6'5",
right.
or incredibly strong. I mean, he's strong for the average human, but going up against his peers, he's given away a lot of strength, a lot of size, and a lot of power, right? So you incorporate that. And then, and I just said to you before, you might be a little surprised at where he is from a three-point shooting prowess. I don't know if everybody realizes this, especially the person who's challenging Mike James on social media. For the past 5 years, He's been over 40% from downtown.
I did not know that.
40%.
That's a big number, man.
And 5 of the last 7 years. Like, if you were to, his career average is behind the arc is 39.1%. But if you were to extract, and you can't do this because but if you take away the first 3 years with the Cavaliers, when he's double teamed and they were bad and he's just jacking shots up and he's trying to figure out what the league is all about, trying to get his. I mean, actually, as a rookie, he shot 39%. Then he shot 39% again. Then he shot 35%. If you take away that one season where he shot 35.5% in 70-plus games with the Cavs in year 3, he is over 40% for his career from behind the arc. So, Kyrie Irving is a little confounding. Kyrie Irving is a little... at times maddening, confusing, occasionally petulant, like when he wouldn't respond to Steve Nash's text, which I thought was incredibly unprofessional. Kyrie Irving is a beast of a player.
Yeah, I mean, look at his season. You shot 50% from the field last year.
He was great last season, Teak.
He was unbelievable last season, especially with all of the turmoil that they had as a team health-wise. They took turns. Him and James Harden and KD, Kevin Durant, took turns kind of carrying the team at points during the regular season. And so, I mean, from a skill position standpoint, you think historically it really is hard to compare over errors because you're right. Like Bob Cousy was doing those things. It's just I can see it. Like he's dribbling around people.
Yeah,
like
he almost put his head down.
Yeah, it's like he's looking out of the corner of his eyes. Like, I see you coming. I'm going to turn this way. He's just like doing circles around people. And it's like, wow, that's impressive.
Yep.
Right? It's not even close to what Kyrie does.
No.
Crossing you up.
No, I just said that because that's like the beginning of the game. That's why. I'm not even saying he's remotely close to Kyrie Irving.
But that's my point.
With the handle.
Like the evolution, I mean, maybe like respectively, right? In that era, was anybody else doing that?
No, like that? Not to my knowledge. I mean, I could still see and I could still hear when Havlicek steals the ball and Havlicek, gets a deep out and Havlicek steals it. It's all over. That's all over. Like, there's been these snapshots of guys doing their thing with the ball. But, I mean, Isaiah Thomas, this is on YouTube, absolutely. It's also in the opening montage to this old VHS tape that I used to watch literally every single day for about 2 years in my basement trying to, replicate this, which of course I couldn't do, where Isaiah does this. Pride and Passion is the VHS tape from the 80s, right? He does this thing. The ball is his hand is so low to the ground. Yeah. I'm going to show you during the break. Yeah. And you're going to be mesmerized by this.
How is it even getting off? Like, how is he generating force?
But he goes through the whole team. And I think you've got to throw Isaiah Thomas in there in terms of a ball handler. I also think
he's not crossing over. He's just single-handedly. Maybe
there's a little through the legs, and he's tricking you up.
I got to see this.
I'm going to show you during the break. And you have to throw in white chocolate. Jason Williams was just a badass with the ball.
He just doesn't get the love.
Oh, no. In real time, you ask guys who played him, they're like, that guy was insane.
Historically, he doesn't get the love because...
But he wasn't a great player. He was a good player.
That's why.
He played for a couple teams, bounced around. But that Kings team...
Yeah, he was like legendary. He was like cultish. He was like that cult movie... Like hero. That's who he was.
Mike, you remember watching Jason Williams? Remember when I'll show you something else on YouTube, when he just abused Gary Payton? Gary Payton might be the singular best perimeter defensive guard of all time. And Jason Williams like he almost like ins and outs him, and Gary Payton looked like I would look, like lost. Jay Williams was sick. Yes.
I guess my question is, like, we talk about skill, and I understand. Like,
seemed exasperated. What was that?
Oh, what are we talking about?
No,
again, this is skill. This has nothing to do with scoring.
No, I understand, but like skill is such a generic term. Like, shooting is a skill, and it's not like Steph Curry can't dribble, drive, and I mean, we've seen Steph do some incredible things off the backboard and reverse layups.
Yeah, but he doesn't go down there often. You know what I mean? And when he does, it's because he's crossed the guy up like 8 feet,
jumping out
8 feet away, and then he's got one of these like layups. He's like, he's the
reach layup.
Yeah, he's the reach layup.
But he does do that. But Mike's not wrong. I mean, Steph does do that.
Kyrie's shooting ability, we have to talk about Steph's ability to dish drive and get to the hoop as well. I mean, shooting is a skill, right? I understand that dribbling, doing all these crazy crossovers, and his hips and his angles and the things that he can do with the ball in his hand, it's a great skill. But shooting is a skill, and Steph is not only the greatest shooter of all time, he revolutionized the game with his shooting. So to say just because Kyrie can dribble better, he's more skilled.
Steph is also a better athlete, Mike. That's what we're also saying that.
Okay, but
he's a superior athlete.
Skilled and athlete are different also.
I understand that.
But here's the thing. I think Steph is often off the ball. Right, and so until this season, Kyrie he's one of the most ball dominant guards in the NBA. In fact, when he went to Cleveland, when LeBron came back to Cleveland, like that was one of the friction points. It's like, dude, you can't hold the ball for 20 seconds here, right? You got to either shoot or get it to somebody, and he was more shooting because that one game he had no assist, as we always refer to, where LeBron told him, "You will never have a game where you don't have an assist again," and he didn't. But I think Steph is different, and we view him differently because even though he is a great ball handler and he is a fantastic shooter, maybe the greatest shooter of all time, a lot of his work, put that in quotes, his work is off the ball. Like he's running around constantly.
No doubt about it. Like Reggie Miller used to.
Back screens and crossing guys up and picks and coming off. I mean, Steph Curry is one of the most active players you'll ever watch. And it's actually exhausting to watch him when he doesn't have the ball. Whereas Kyrie, for a lot of his career, and in our minds, just the visual of him, we see Kyrie with all these crazy, moves that just get people off guard and give him easy shots. So it's subjective, obviously, but I think from a street baller standpoint, it's not even a conversation.
I don't think it's much of a conversation. And let me frame it this way, and then, Santor, I want you to get a list real quick. So let's say that you go into a game and you knew that both Kyrie and Steph were going to shoot 0 for 10 from downtown. Which of those two players would you still want to play 40 minutes? Would you go with Kyrie at that point, or would you go with Steph Curry? If they're both 0 for 10.
Kyrie.
It's Kyrie.
Yeah.
It's Kyrie, which to me illuminates his other gifts. So, Mike, do you have a little list there? I want to make sure. Of course, we missed a bunch of people. I don't know, maybe Tiny Archibald.
Yeah.
Give me a list of some of the best handles in NBA history.
Well, so I'm looking at a lot of lists. Kyrie's number 1 or number 2 on basically every list. The top 3 is
where's AI?
So that's the thing. I looked at 3 or 4 lists. Every list basically has Isaiah, Kyrie, and Iverson somewhere in that top 3, just rotating orders.
I'm discounting Isaiah then.
Yeah.
Oh, Isaiah's handle. I'm telling you, man, he was.
What a
great player.
I just don't remember.
There's just so many moves where he's doing these little crossovers on the perimeter, and now when they do crossovers, right? When I used to do a crossover, and BT, I'm sure you're the same way. I would spread my legs out, get the ball.
Now it takes me 3 seconds to actually go from wanting to do it in my mind to actually doing it. But yeah,
and that's kind of how that's kind of how Isaiah did his crossovers. His legs would spread out, but he would do it so quick.
Yeah, he did.
But Kyrie, he can just do it like his legs are together.
Well, we know how he does it. Who else is on the list here?
Steph Curry is 4th on basically every list I've seen.
Interesting.
So we're talking about handles. It's hard to say that Steph is not a good handler.
Any old time? We never said it wasn't a good handler.
No,
we just said it wasn't Kyrie.
So
give me some old timers. Anybody else?
So one of the names that stands out to me because he had a name for his moves was Tim Hardaway, the UTEP two-step.
Yes. That's a good call. Forgot about Timmy's handle.
I love the UTEP two-step.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson's on here.
No way. No way.
Maravich is on here as well.
Oh, Maravich should be on that list. Listen, Magic's the best point guard of all time by far. Magic's handle. I mean, he would methodically
it wasn't.
No way.
It wasn't entertainment.
No way.
It was for entertainment value.
His passing, number 1 of all time.
I could see him high stepping. In my mind,
I could see him backing guys up actually as he crosses midcourt, this high dribble.
Yes, and then high stepping, kicking guys out, and dishing.
I think we remember that, but I mean, the Showtime Lakers, he was running up and down with these crazy fast breaks. The dude was.
But it was the passes that punctuated the play.
That's right.
That's true. Jamal Crawford's getting a lot of love on this list,
it's a sneaky good. That's a really good handle.
But
JC
to me,
had the
original for me growing up was Tim Hardaway, the UTEP two-step.
I totally forgot about Timmy. That's a good call. That's a good call. Nobody throws love to Jay Williams on that list? That list.
I saw one list with white chocolate, but I think, listen, he was flashy. He was N1, basketball. It was like the professor, right? The N1 basketball league, right? They're really impressive. It's kind of cool to watch, but 9 times out of 10, these crazy moves turned out to be a turnover.
So that's not true. Now you're just making things up. Look at his stats from the first 5 or 6 years. He was you're so underrating what he was as a player. First of all, that Kings team with Peja Stojakovic and C. Webb, Adelman was the coach. He was the point guard of one of the best teams in the NBA. Real quick, give us his numbers real fast. Go ahead.
So his first couple years, 6 assists, 3 turnovers, 7 assists, 4 turnovers, 5 assists, 2 turnovers, 8 assists, 3 turnovers, 8 assists, 2 turnovers. Never averaged more than 8.3 assists a game.
What about points per game?
Points, his high was 14.8.
Yeah, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, career average was 10.5.
Different era, too. You could play defense back then. It was more of a grinded-out style.
He was flashy. He was fun. I enjoyed watching him, but he turned the ball over a ton.
He turned it over. I'm not saying he didn't turn it over, but making it seem like the guy came off the bench and played 9 minutes a game, and he just dazzled people, and then they stuck him back on the bench. He was the cog. He was one of the main cogs on a team that could have won a championship if it wasn't for Kobe and Shaq. Mm-hmm. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.